Picture this. You're standing on the deck of a research vessel in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The sun is setting, the water is calm, and beneath your feet, 11 kilometers straight down, the planet is bleeding. Not blood, something stranger. Superheated water mixed with metals, sulfur and minerals, erupting from cracks in the Earth's crust at temperatures that should turn water into steam. Except it doesn't. The pressure down there is so extreme that water at 400 degrees Celsius stays liquid. And when it hits the freezing ocean water around it, something impossible happens. Towers start growing. Chemical towers. Mineral cathedrals rising out of pure physics and fury. Built by nothing but temperature and chemistry. No cells, no DNA, no life directing the construction. Just the planet. Building architecture in hell. They call them black smokers. And for 50 years, we thought we understood how they worked. We had textbooks, we had diagrams, we had a clean, simple explanation for how these hydrothermal vents formed at the bottom of the ocean. And then last year, new technology gave us our first real look at what's actually happening down there. 3-dimensional scans with resolution 400 times higher than anything we'd ever captured before. 41 days of continuous mapping at the deepest point on Earth. When the data came back, everything we thought we knew collapsed. Black smokers aren't slow geological features. They are wounds in the Earth's crust that refuse to close. They are violent, fast-growing structures that rebuild themselves from the inside out, driven by forces we're only now beginning to understand. And the speed at which they grow, it's not geological time. It's faster than cities rise on land. Let's start at the surface, because that's the only place the scale makes sense. You're floating in sunlit water, 200 meters of ocean that contains 90% of everything you've ever seen in a nature documentary. Fish, dolphins, coral reefs. This is the ocean we know. Below you, 11,000 meters of darkness, 55 times deeper than the water you're floating in right now. To put that in perspective, if you compress the entire ocean into a coffee cup, the sunlit zone would be thinner than the film of condensation on the rim. Everything we're about to talk about happens in the last millimeter at the bottom of that cup, and humans almost never go there. We've sent 12 people to the moon, but only 3 have reached the deepest point in the ocean. We have better maps of Mars than we do of our own seafloor. But last year, something changed. A new deep-sea robot called HROV, Nereus 2, completed a mission that gave us the first true high-resolution view of a black smoker field. For 41 straight days, this robot crawled across the floor of the Mariana Trench, building point clouds so detailed they looked like you could reach out and touch solid rock. When the scientists reviewed the data, they stopped talking for a long time, because the story we'd been teaching for decades just died. Here's what we used to think happened. Seawater seeps down through cracks in the ocean floor. It gets heated by magma. The hot water picks up dissolved minerals. It shoots back out. The minerals precipitate when they hit cold water. A chimney grows. Simple? That story is now dead. We're now at the bottom. 10,800 meters down. The pressure here is 1,100 atmospheres. The water temperature is 2 degrees Celsius, just above freezing. And in front of you, carved into the ocean floor, is a canyon. 40 meters wide and 120 meters deep, sliced straight into the basalt crust like something took a knife and opened the planet. Here's the thing that stopped everyone cold. That canyon didn't exist 5 years ago. The scans prove it. In less than 9 months, that canyon tore open. 120 meters deep. Not slowly, not gradually. In one violent geological event that ripped the crust apart. And inside that wound, that's where the black smokers are growing. The new scans captured the entire process in time lapse. 41 days of continuous observation. Day 1. Smooth basalt plain. Nothing unusual. Day 4. A hairline fracture appears. Day 17. The fracture explodes downward, 80 meters in a single pulse. Day 23. The first black smoker ignites, 18 meters tall, in 1 week. Day 41. 60 black smokers now stand where there was nothing. Some are 60 meters tall. That's a 20-story building, grown in less than 6 weeks. This is not slow geology. This is planetary violence happening faster than cities grow on land. Now, zoom in on one of the chimneys. The scans can slice it open like a CT scan. What they found inside changed everything. The outer wall is 4 centimeters thick, then a hollow core, then another wall on the inside, only 3 millimeters thick. It's a double-walled structure. And it didn't form the way we thought. For decades, scientists assumed black smokers grew outward like coral. Minerals deposit on the outside, the chimney gets taller, layer by layer. The 3-dimensional scans prove the opposite is true. Black smokers grow inward. Superheated fluid, 407 degrees Celsius. Black with dissolved iron sulfides, blasts upward through the chimney at 5 meters per second. That's faster than you can run. The moment that superheated water hits the 2-degree ocean surrounding it, physics takes over. Dissolved minerals crash out of solution instantly, but they don't deposit on the outside. They plate the inside. Every time the vent fires, it builds a new interior wall, a thinner, fresher layer that slowly consumes the old wall from within. The chimney is eating itself and rebuilding at the same time. Over the course of a few years, the entire structure replaces itself from the inside out, like a snake swallowing its own tail, but made of metal and stone. But the real shock is deeper. Follow the fracture down. At 120 meters below the sea floor, the canyon just ends, not in solid rock, in liquid, a pool of molten sulfur, glowing yellow-white at 700 degrees Celsius, sitting in a lens-shaped reservoir 40 meters across, floating on denser water like oil on vinegar. This is the first time any probe has ever seen liquid sulfur inside the Earth's crust, and it's not stable. The thin crust over the reservoir ruptures regularly, and when it does, liquid sulfur explodes upward, mixing with superheated water in a chemical reaction so violent it literally 3D prints new chimney in days. This is the planet vomiting architecture. Now, overlay temperature data onto the scan. What you see is a network. Branching arteries of superheated fluid racing through the crust like blood vessels. One artery feeds 7 separate smoker clusters over a distance of 2 kilometers. The entire field is connected. It's not individual vents, it's one living system pulsing in unison. When one chimney collapses, and they do collapse, pressure redirects instantly. Within hours, a new smoker erupts 300 meters away. The field is self-healing. And the life forms that live here? They're not just surviving, they're being grown by the chimneys themselves. The scans caught something nobody expected. A tube worm larva settling on bare rock. Within 48 hours, the chimney had grown up around it. The worm is now encased in a private mineral tube that channels 400-degree fluid directly past its mouth. The chimney farms the worm. The worm stabilizes the chimney. And this relationship formed in 2 days. Let's pull back and look at the scale. This single black smoker field covers an area the size of Lower Manhattan. It contains more mineral mass than the entire Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on Earth, and it grew in under 5 years. If the same geological process happened on land at the same speed, the Himalayas would be a weekend project. And it's still growing. The latest scan shows the main fracture has lengthened another 180 meters. In human terms, that's impossible. In geological terms, it's a detonation. So why is this happening so fast? The old model said black smoke has formed slowly because heat transfer is slow. That model predicted growth rates of millimeters per year. The new data shows growth rates of meters per day. That's off by a factor of 1,000. What the scans revealed is that the old model was missing the violence. The fractures don't open slowly, they tear open in catastrophic events. The sulfur doesn't seep, it erupts. The minerals don't precipitate gradually, they crash out in chemical shockwaves. This is not a vent, it's a wound that refuses to close. Black smokers were first discovered in 1977. Scientists exploring the Galapagos Rift expected to find cold, dead sea floor. Instead, they found towers spewing black smoke and ecosystems thriving in total darkness. It was one of the most important discoveries in oceanography. Because until that moment, we thought all life on Earth depended on sunlight. But at black smokers, there's no sunlight. Never has been. Never will be. And yet, life is everywhere. Giant tube worms, eyeless shrimp, pale crabs, an entire ecosystem powered not by the sun, but by chemistry. The base of the food chain here isn't plants, it's bacteria. Chemosynthetic bacteria that eat hydrogen sulfide, the same chemical that's toxic to most life. These bacteria turn poison into energy. And everything else eats the bacteria. But here's what the new scans revealed. The life doesn't just live near the smokers, it's integrated into the structure. The organisms and the minerals are building each other. And when a chimney collapses, the ecosystem doesn't die, it migrates. Within days, a new smoker is colonized. Within weeks, it's thriving. This is resilience on a level we rarely see on land, because everything is fast. The geology is fast, the chemistry is fast, evolution itself might be faster here. Some scientists think black smokers could be where life on Earth began. The conditions here, superheated water, dissolved minerals, chemical energy, match the conditions on early Earth, before there was oxygen in the atmosphere. If life started at black smokers 4 billion years ago, then these vents aren't just geological features. They're the birthplace of everything. The Mariana Trench field that was scanned, it's just one. There are thousands of black smoker fields scattered across every ocean on Earth. Mid-ocean ridges, subduction zones, volcanic arcs. Anywhere tectonic plates meet, black smokers can form. Each one is different. Each one has its own chemistry, its own structure, its own ecosystem. And we've explored less than 5% of the ocean floor, which means there are thousands more fields we haven't found yet. Thousands more wounds in the Earth's crust, bleeding heat and metal into the deep sea, building impossible structures in total darkness. The new scanning technology is changing everything. And what we're seeing is that black smokers are far stranger, far more violent and far more alive than we ever imagined. They are wounds that refuse to close. They are the planet's way of bleeding heat into the ocean. And they do it by ripping themselves open and rebuilding bigger, faster, hotter, again and again for millions of years. Every photograph you've ever seen of a black smoker was a lie of stillness, because nothing down there is still. Everything is exploding in slow motion. But here's what keeps me up at night. We're only just starting to understand this. The three-dimensional scans are incredible, but they're limited to small areas. One field, one canyon, one set of smokers. There are thousands more out there, different depths, different chemistries, different rates of growth, and we haven't mapped them, which means there are black smokers out there growing structures we've never seen. Chemical reactions we don't understand, ecosystems we haven't discovered. The implications go beyond geology. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, is covered in ice. But beneath that ice is an ocean, and at the bottom of that ocean there might be black smokers. If life exists on Europa, it might look like the life around Earth's black smokers. Chemosynthetic bacteria, tube worms, ecosystems built on chemistry, not light. Black smokers aren't just an Earth phenomenon. They might be universal. Anywhere you have water, heat, and rock, you can build a smoker. And if that's true, then the discovery of black smokers wasn't just important for understanding Earth. It was important for understanding life in the universe. Because if life can thrive at black smokers here, in total darkness, under crushing pressure, in water hot enough to melt lead, then life can thrive almost anywhere. The conditions we thought were necessary, sunlight, moderate temperatures, might not be necessary at all. Life might be far more resilient and far more common than we ever imagined. And it all starts with chemistry, with superheated water meeting freezing ocean, with minerals crashing out of solution, with structures growing from the inside out, with wounds in the Earth's crust that refuse to close. You live on a planet that builds cathedrals in hell faster than we build skyscrapers in daylight. The crust is moving, plates are shifting, magma is rising. And at the places where all that energy meets the ocean, the planet builds structures that shouldn't be possible. Towers taller than skyscrapers, growing faster than trees, made of metal and stone, built by nothing but chemistry. We've spent centuries exploring the surface, but the real frontier is beneath the waves. 11 kilometers down, where the pressure is crushing and the darkness is absolute. That's where the planet shows its true face. Not the calm surface we see from shore, the violent interior, the bleeding wounds, the chemical fury. Nothing about black smokers is normal. Not their speed, not their structure, not their chemistry, not the life they support. They are geological miracles. Wounds that refuse to heal, and they are everywhere. At the bottom of every ocean, in every trench, along every mid-ocean ridge, thousands of them, all growing, all collapsing, all rebuilding. Right now, while you're reading this, the planet is bleeding and it's building cathedrals in the dark.